Hi folks, Dr. Bob McCauley. I thought I'd just take a minute today and explain my new brain formula. It's NootriCognition and the philosophy behind it and how it works. So basically you've got a couple of key components in there that are, that we put into NootriCognition, and one of the biggest ones is something called phosphatidylserine. Phosphatidylserine, the one we have, it comes from sunflower. Usually it comes from soy. I don't get mine from soy, I get it from sunflower. And it's 70% concentrated. Well, this is something your brain uses all the time. So as you're thinking, your brain's actually using phosphatidylserine. Your body's creating phosphatidylserine. Well, if you sit there all day and you keep thinking and thinking intensely, you're studying, or you're really concentrated on something, what's going to happen is you're going to use all that up, and that's why you just feel so brain dead at the end of a long lecture, a long day of just sitting there studying. You're exhausted. I mean, you've just been sitting all day studying, and when you're in college or whatever, or like I do still to this day, and you just get so tired. Well, that's because your brain has just been used up all that material. So I'm feeding the brain constantly. So phosphatidylserine is another one, or a very important one that I put in there. Another one's alpha GPC. Now this is another one. They sound just like chemicals, but this is very highly concentrated. Again, very much needed by the brain. So these are two of the key components for focus and concentration. Now, another thing I put in there, it's very powerful, is 5-HTP. Okay, this is a very, very active and very powerful form of tryptophan. So it's like 20 times more concentrated than, or more active than regular tryptophan, which is an amino acid used by the brain. Well, anybody who's low on serotonin doesn't have tryptophan, or needs tryptophan. So and has depression, has the blues. All depression ultimately relates back to the lack of serotonin in the brain. So they give you this depression medication, and it drives you insane, doesn't work, and then nothing happens. So you need to feed the brain some tryptophan, and what will happen is your brain will produce serotonin and a lot of other brain chemicals. Most we don't even know what they are. Let's be honest, we know that don't know that much about the brain, but and really exactly how it's working, but and all the things that are going on in there. But what we do know is the brain needs to be fed certain things for it to function properly. So another thing I put in there is what they call P5P. Now this is a very, again, active, concentrated form of vitamin B6. So this will really, this is the brain vitamin, the brain B vitamin and the brain vitamin period. Like my B6 is very, very high, so is my B12, but I get all those from spirulina and chlorella. But P5P is really, really good. It's a vitamin that's really needed by the brain. And again, I have a highly concentrated form in here. So you don't need to take a lot of this stuff to really have it be effective. A couple other the key components we put in there. So there's a lot of other amino acids, and these form proteins, but they're really geared toward the brain. Again, I'm focusing on. I'm looking at depression and how we can, take that and balancing brain chemicals and feeding the brain. So there's amino acids in there. And then there's also essential fatty acids such as DHA, okay, and that comes from algae. I don't have an animal source for that. I have DHA. Then the other component you're going to find in there is some herbal extracts, and what they are is concentrated herbs. So what they are is the three of them I put in there. The main ones are bacopa. Okay, bacopa is really incredible for concentration. It's just one of the best herbs. People don't know it. It's an Ayurvedic herb, comes out of India. Really good. Another one's ginkgo. Ginkgo is good for your memory, but it's mainly good for circulation. So we're getting a lot of blood up to the brain, and that's what you're looking for. So ginkgo's in there. And then another one's rhodiola, and again, a really amazing adaptogenic herb, and they're all highly concentrated, so we don't need a lot. They're quite expensive, but you don't need much. A little bit goes a very long way with these herbs. So we put them in there, and they're really just completely all natural. And once again, they've all got these specific acids, okay, that the brain needs. Now, the brain always needs two things. It needs fats and acids. Okay, so in ginkgo you'll find ginkgosilic acid, bactosilic acid, and bacopa, and then what we call salicylic acid in rhodiola. So rhodiola is this one that really provides such an unusual amount, kind of acid to the brain that the other ones don't add, but every one of them is different. So again, and then these fats, the DHA and a few others. So we need fats and acids in the brains, and that's what we're feeding you here. So again, constantly feeding the brain. The other thing is, when you get to the end of the day, or to the middle of the day or any time, you can always take more of this, because we put in a little bit of caffeine, but it's just about 20 milligrams in there for the whole dosage. So you're not going to get a crash. You don't want that. You want caffeine to just sort of be the knock on the door, just kind of wake you up a little bit. That's good, and that's all we want. I don't want stimulating. I don't want brain stimulation. You don't need that. Brain stimulation is just moving all around, and you're not going to be able to focus and concentrate. So caffeine actually works against you. So just a very small amount. Those are the main ingredients that I have in there. I just wanted to explain that to you and how you're feeding it. So if you get tired, you can take more. And you're only taking around 2 or 3 grams of this product, but the benefit and how you're going to feel taking this thing, you're not going to believe how effective it can really be when you really feed the brain naturally. And again, when you want to re-up it, it's about feeding the brain. It's not about taking things that don't really belong there. You can only do so much, like 5-hour energy or any of these these burnout. I call them burnout products, because that's all you're doing. You're burning your brain out, and that's why you just constantly go downhill. What this does, we're constantly feeding the brain, building the brain, and so you're actually creating new synapses and new synaptic pathways, and therefore more synaptic activity, and that's brain activity. That's what it's all about. So to take more of this doesn't really hurt you. And can you overdo it? Well, you're going to waste it. Your body's just not going to be able to use a lot. So you don't want to start taking 20 and 30 at a time. You space it out. And that's what you should always do with food. You don't want to just load up on it. Your body can't store most of these things. Like protein, your body can't store it. So it's just this constant feeding of it through the day if you want to keep concentrating. And that's what I do. So you get a little brain dead or a little brain tired, or a little bit sleepy or whatever, you can take a little more. It'll perk you right back up in an all natural way. Dr. Bob, I hope this has been useful to you. NootriCognition is just kind of an introductory. And you guys stay healthy and take care of that brain. That's your command center. See you next time, guys.